our next speaker is epic Miles Johnson. You know, this is a dude who's been in the industry for a while. He's done stints at Levi's. Everyone knows him for Patagonia as well. Huge vintage collector, specialist, historian. I don't know what else to say really. And we've got him for a good 20 odd minutes. He's going to be talking about what it truly means to make a quality garment. Thank you, Miles, for your time. Please take it away, sir.
I will, Mohsin, yeah, thank you. And thank you everybody for having me on. I chose this subject because I kind of have this thing where working in this industry, you know, you often, you know, you sail very close to the fashion winds, and there's these buzzwords that keep coming up quite often in what we do. And I'm sure I'm not the only person in the world at the moment that wants to talk quality and hears a lot of talk about quality. It is so important. However, we have I'll just share my screen. So I thought what we could do is I just want to give some perspective, and it really is like what I kind of feel at the moment about the responsibility around designing quality garments. And what does it truly mean to design a quality garment? So I have never worked anywhere with any company when asked the question, what sets you apart from your competitors? I always hear the word quality. So just imagine, I mean, we're talking the breadth of the denim industry, everything from supermarkets to high end. Literally, everyone thinks that they have quality garments. It's, you know, low and bad quality is still quality of a quality. And a good quality is just another kind of quality. So it's just a word. A low priced product doesn't stop the intention or the idea of a design being good. I used to work in design many years ago when brand management used to ask design for sexy. And still now I hear a lot of people asking for cool. But what does this really mean? I mean, I think I know, but that might be very different from what somebody else thinks. So basically what I'm kind of starting off with is that quality is in some ways, to some degree, subjective as a term when it comes to denim and when it comes to product. So we are quality of some degree. So I wanted to skip straight on there into quality never goes out of style. I worked for Levi's for a very long time. Levi's still bears the tagline, quality never goes out of style. And I think this, like, you know, when you think about, they've put quality as the word, as their first word and sort of mission statement, if you like, as something that they really, really stand for. And I think this is something that still, you know, it's really paid off for the brand. And we know from shopping in secondhand stores or markets or wherever, when you see the depth of secondhand denim that's available, the amount of Levi's products that's kind of like on the racks, and it's kind of almost the most available. The consistency, this is where I think the consistency of the construction of the products over the years, since 1873, it hasn't really changed that much. Okay, it's changed a bit, but it hasn't changed that much over the years. And maybe it's because this design consistency is so important to the brand that this outweighs the brand image and it possibly keeps them at number one. When we buy clothing now, are we buying it to last or are we just buying it for now? if you want it to last, it's good to think about quality these days, I think, as the reason to buy. When shopping for quality garments, there are, of course, obvious bad quality things to look out for. Hanging threads, wobbly, loose stitching, uneven sewn buttons, uncut buttonholes, seam slippage, which is really when you really pull apart at the fabric and at the seams, you can almost see the weave kind of like coming apart. Just rough, unfinished seams, and one of my pet hates, cheap, shallow pocketing. And the list goes on. So, I mean, you know, there's loads of obvious bad quality things that we see all the time. So, I mean, I was just asking, you know, thinking this morning, you know, so who's to blame for this? Is this, were they badly designed? Were they designed or made in a rush? So, having just heard Laura's great talk there, there's a lot of what I'm going to say now, which is also just echoing and supporting some of the things that she's just said. So slow down, people. I think we all need to take a bit of a breath, which I think we're kind of doing at the moment with the COVID world. So we're having to sort of really think a little bit about the way it's been done, the way we've been doing it, and how we can go on to do it better. And when thinking about quality, what do we want? So my shortlist at the moment goes, I want long lasting, I want comfort, I want durability, I want really easy care, I want strong denim, I want to have a beautiful fade, I want craftsmanship in the make. I want really clear information on the expected shrinkage of a rigid jean, or really easy information to understand for how to just generally look after my garment. I really hope that one day all brands can start to offer some kind of lifetime guarantee, which would mean that if anything ever went wrong with the garment, you would be able to return it to the brand and they would repair it for you, or they would send you a new garment if they couldn't repair it. I think that's been a really, truly responsible brand. There are some brands doing that, but eventually one day I'd love to see everybody doing that. Now, I think you can also design garments to be easily repairable. You know, zippers are one of those things sometimes if you're doing zipper flies where they often get jammed or teeth go missing. You know, they can sometimes break, and it's a really complicated repair to kind of take out a denim zip and put a new one in. So there are ways to be able to make those things easier to repair, to get at things, to be able to open up a garment, be able to repair it, put it back together really easily. I think that's also about being really responsible. And also really thinking about the circular economy with design, so that the intention for the design is that it's going to be good in the end if it goes back into the ground or if it's easily recyclable into something else. It's just having that foresight about what the lifespan of every garment that we work on is going to be. And, you know, offering, like I said, you know, repair services. I'm seeing more and more companies doing that. And I think that's also a really great thing that you can offer people. It gives people so much faith in you as a designer or a brand. So production, it's obviously, it's a massive jump, isn't it, from us having concepts and ideas and designs to suddenly it going out to the world of sort of factories and suppliers, and it's, you know, we're not making them in our bedroom anymore. So it's really important to understand how these things get scaled. Again, going back to many things that Laura's just said. So I always really recommend, after we've designed our garments and the designs, which is, you know, you create a sealed sample, which is this one garment that you have, which is the kind of like the mother, and everything has to go back to being that exactly. So when that gets sent off to a supplier or a factory, it's really good to check on production runs. It's either spot checking, which not all suppliers really like, that you just turn up unannounced. But I imagine if you've got a lot of business there, they're not going to turn you away. Or you could perhaps set up something where you're looking at 1 in every 100 against your sealed sample, to check to see if it is perfect as it should be. If you're seeing that it's going astray or something, then, you know, it's time to meet with the management there and sort out any issues that you may have. Really, as Laura said, really important to, so important to build a strong relationship with your supplier. They are effectively your hands. You keep your eyes, but they are doing your work for you. So I think really it's so important to make sure that you are partnered with them. You visit them regularly, especially at the beginning of any relationship, just to make sure that you understand each other, that they've gone through the tech packs, any questions are kind of brought up, all of that Laura was talking about. And then you just iron out any differences and all of that. I think after time, it's possible that you don't have to go every single season, but I think we've been a little bit lording it up the last few years, just pressing sort of send on our computers and sending designs away, and then, you know, like 1 week later, like, where is it? You know, if you haven't got the time to go and work with factories, I mean, obviously things are difficult with travel at the moment, but in the long term, I think it's really important to get shoulder to shoulder with the people that are doing your work for you. You know, and also the thing that I think is really important is you really understand then you're working within the capabilities of the supplier. If you give them something different or something that could be seen as a challenge, if you don't support them, then to make it exactly as you want it, then there may be a misunderstanding, or they might cut corners or save time, which could result in mistakes. Most costings are built not around how much the materials have cost, but how long it takes to make the style. So the more complicated, the more money it costs. The more basic, the cheaper it gets. So the old saying, quality, not quantity, just sort of stands to reason. High-end, you know, if you're only making kind of like 1 or 2, you're overseeing the whole process and everything's perfect. But if you're making hundreds, thousands, then things trickle away. High-end stores sometimes only make a few hundred in their volumes. High street brands can sometimes go over millions of units of any one style in a single wash. So making one, as I said, is super easy. Making thousands really just sometimes gets a bit sloppy. The quality should never diminish. It should stay the same no matter what the volume, really, because you're paying for, you know, that sealed sample. And so if you're not getting that, then you might have issues, or you might sort of need to just make sure that you keep your eyes on it all the time. Manufacturers, of course, naturally, in their experience, have ways of working, and they like doing things a particular way. So if you haven't been clear in your tech pack and you don't really stipulate exactly how you want things done, then things sometimes can go back to the way they did it before you asked them to do it differently. So, you know, again, check with them. Grading is another one as well. Bad grading is bad quality clothing, I think. Medium men's and small women's styles are usually, they start out as the standard size, and then making the design smaller and bigger is not always as straightforward an approach. So you really need to kind of make sure that you look into that, because that often gets really overlooked, I think, as a subject. Then social quality, I think, of course, now is so important to us. So we're not just, when we're talking about quality, we're not just talking about the quality of the garment, because I think as designers and as brands now, we need to know a lot more about where things have come from, and we need to know that things are done really well and the best they can. And if anybody were to not care about that side of things, it would look really, really bad. And I think no one really wants to walk around in a garment that has been made in a place that doesn't have standards or high enough standards for today's world. So, you know, how was it made? Where was it made? Who made it? Are the workers well looked after? Are there ethical values, fair pay, working hours and conditions, childcare, healthcare, sick pay, all of that? You need to sort of check that all those things are in place. If they do, they would say, I think, a company would say, and I think they would be transparent. And if they don't say, you do start to wonder if they have something to hide, maybe. If they can't talk about where the things have come from. So ask a lot of questions. There is more information needs to be available, not less or minimum. I mean, I really think it's more important to put too much information, if anything, so that people can find it easily, whether through website or through some sort of like packaging or information that's connected to the product. A really big thing in the denim world is shrinkage, and they're all different. I mean, there's general rules around shrinkage, but it's one of those things that you have to do quite a lot of work on. So shrinkage of denim from rigid after the first wash is sometimes up to 15%, and it's not even shrinkage either. So it might only shrink more in the warp and not in the weft, or maybe one yarn may pucker and another not so much, which can skew, and this affects the look and the feel. When someone buys a rigid jean, if you don't explain what will happen to the garment after you wash it, or don't make recommendations for how to care for their item, the wearer may get very disappointed with what happens. It's fine that the garments shrink, but it's not fine to give them some warning and let them know kind of like roughly what might happen. It's part of the journey. I think it's a beautiful thing, but some people are, you know, once they've been wearing their rigid for a couple of weeks and they get used to that fit, they wash it once, they put it back on again, it's completely different jean. It's like, oh no, I'm taking it back. Don't just watch out for shrinkage, it's a massive thing. And also, I really kind of like, I think people sometimes get really worried about the shrinkage, so they just slap dry clean only labels on things, which I think is just a bit of a shocker, really. I don't think it's necessary. I just think that maybe people haven't done their homework on what will happen. So see the big picture. You know, nothing's designed bad quality, it just happens when we don't see things through. And spot the difference between good and bad quality. You just have to go to the high street, a kind of cheaper end store, and then just go and find a similar quality product in a higher end store, and you can really see and feel the difference. Just go try things on. So, so what does it mean to you? Quality obviously is a very overused word. I mean, people don't even really make chocolate, it's just candy, but quality ends up being bantered around as a word at the moment, especially. Does quality have to cost more? Do you have to spend more on quality? I don't think necessarily. Cheap clothes looked after well can last if the fabric is a good standard. If it's uncomplicated in the weave and the composition, and it's been made, it's not being made using dangerous dyes and chemicals, and the construction and the make is strong and reinforced, you can find cheap clothing that does the job well, and you know, if it's fit for purpose. So washing, wash out culture. Jeans are not designed to be washed. They're designed to be an overall to protect your clothing, and tough enough to work in. The best looking jeans in the world are the ones that were worn hard and washed very little. There are tricks to keeping them clean without putting them through washing machines and tumble dryers. All of this does is just fade evenly the indigo and the surface of the denim, and dry and destroy the quality of the denim overall. Finishes are for fashion and here and now. Finishing doesn't add value or quality to your clothing. It just takes away true character and strength. Big brands make a lot of money from offering different shades, fades, damages, but ultimately the one that will last you the longest is the one that you've worn in from rigid and washed by hand from time to time. Quality is a well-designed garment. Take the time to look inside. It should always be as well finished on the inside as it is on the out. Try and think about what thought and consideration went into the design. Well made is good materials, well constructed. Attention to detail down to the smallest detail. Take the time to get your design right. Test it. Give your friends early trials and ask them to wear them in a lot, and give you feedback before you finalize your design. They may tell you something that you really don't want to hear, but it will help the design and your brand's success. It's not good to put clothing out and then take them back off the shelf 6 months later because you didn't get it right the first time. So just remember this, quality is important. It means it'll last a long time, and this will allow a consumer a greater experience and attachment to your brand. So they'll need less rubbish in their lives and have more space at home. Just because a brand says that they're providing quality doesn't mean they are. Question absolutely everything. Investigate the transparency channels and look for process information. Companies may have something to hide and think that they're doing that in their best interest, but just think about how much we have to lose by letting them get away with it. Thank you.
Thank you. That was epic, epic. I'm sorry to push you as well, but amazing, amazing. Do you mind unsharing your screen for us? That'd be amazing. There are some questions, and maybe Miles, what you could do is, if you could be so kind as to maybe go in and just answer. There's 2 questions that come in. But yeah, thank you so much. You were amazing once again. You know, I've done a couple of panels with you, and it's always really fun having you on. And I learned just like Sue Barrett, you guys are just epic. A lot of like Levi's sort of like alumni has been in this Transformers Ed this time. So again, I really appreciate your time, Miles, and it's been always fun hearing you talk and your presentations.
You're welcome. I hope that was of some use to some people, and best of luck to everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.